Welcome to Girl Talk with Amy, Anna, and Lisa.
Come on, girls. Yeah, you know it's our world. So tell me, where the girls at? Come on, girls.
Like many girlfriends, we get together, share what's going on with friends, families, life in general, good, bad. We're always here to support each other. When we visit each other, we spend time doing our girl talk in the comfort zone. The comfort zone is a place where we can be very vulnerable with each other, no judgments. We want to make sure we're uplifting and helping each other when we're down. However, when we're having great success, we're definitely supportive and we're cheering each other on. We are here to support all of you. We realized one day that we had to share this message with others. What we talk about in the comfort zone is something that can empower women all over the world. And we wanted to bring you into our world where we meet once a week. We hope that you enjoy our show. Please like, subscribe, and share with others. We'd love to hear back from you. Welcome to the show. Welcome to Girl Talk. So, holiday editions, here we are. And we are talking to Miss Anna Robles and Miss Lisa Garcia. Hey, girls.
Hey.
Prepping for the holidays. We just finished Thanksgiving, and here we are, right in the middle of a changing pandemic. And we have a lot to be grateful for, right?
Absolutely.
In the middle of these unprecedented times, we are seeing ourselves flourish in multiple areas. With that said, who are you supporting these days? We're all involved in charity work. We're all involved in community action groups. And, you know, some of those individuals that are running those or some of the individuals that are benefiting from those organizations really need a little extra assistance. Who are you supporting these days?
Well, if I may start, one thing that I've learned when I was growing up, my mom and my grandmother always talked about always give to others. Give your time, give your love, give your affection. And if you have a little bit extra, share it with others. So that was always instilled in me. Well, one of the things that I've learn to appreciate is give without expectation. Give from the bottom of your heart and be generous. So that brings me to, we all are, as entrepreneurs, as business owners, as people of the community, we give back through many different ways. Some of us participate in nonprofits and we share our time, but there's also the time when we gotta give to those that are less fortunate or the ones that are struggling. You know, an example could be a friend that is not doing well health-wise, or they're struggling with their movement. Why not show up and help them do some type of chore at home? You know, give your time. And, you know, that is actually very fulfilling. I've done that a couple of times in the last month with someone that is going through some physical pain. And just to be there and have a conversation and hang out and help her do some things, it's fulfilling enough. So what else are you guys doing?
Yeah, and that, you know, before we even started recording the show, that's what I was talking to you ladies about, is that, you know, I don't want to keep tooting my own horn, and because there are people out there that aren't as fortunate as I have been during this pandemic. I am flying high right now, career-wise. Both of my businesses are just doing amazing. And so what I've decided to do, other than pay off bills, credit cards, cars, is I'm giving back wherever I can. Whenever I'm on social media and I'm seeing, you know, people asking for donations, I am so quick to press that donate button and, you know, give back where I can. And it may not be a lot, you know, but it's because I like to spread the wealth around. You know, I'm giving a little bit here, a little bit there. And then also, I'm involved in nonprofit organizations myself. And so I definitely give hours to that, even if you can't give monetarily. Maybe you're not working right now. I'm sure a lot of people, a lot of organizations wouldn't mind you just donating a little bit of your time, right?
Right.
It makes you feel good. It just gives you the warm and fuzzies when you're able to help somebody out. And yes, I've had quite a few friends who have expressed that, this whole this situation with the pandemic is really depressing them, and the fact that they can't work or their business isn't as flourishing as they would hope it was going to be in the beginning of 2020, right? We have all these goals and all these plans and all these dreams, and then we have this catastrophe hit our country, and those plans and goals go down the drain and you have no power over that, and you feel helpless, I'm sure, and you're stressed out and you're depressed and you don't know how you're going to take care of your families. And I have definitely had to be that positive person in their life, even if it's just picking up the phone and checking on them, once, twice, 4, 5, 6 days a week, whatever it takes. I wait for a giggle. I try to make everybody laugh, just being who I am and being me, and making sure that they're okay and just checking in. But I think that's so important, because when you're feeling down in the dumps, and I know I've been down in the dumps, I need to know that there's people there for me. There are people there for me, and I've got my daughter, my youngest daughter, she brings her friends over, or they come over, and I just make them dinner. They look forward to sitting down at my dinner table, because they're not feeling, maybe their parents are going through something. And, it does pour over into your children, how you're feeling and what's going on with you, and your situation pours over into your children. As much as we try to hide as much as we can from our kids, they see it, they feel it.
Oh, yeah.
So just having an extra person sit down at our dinner table makes me feel good, because I see the smiles on their faces,
Oh,
yeah.
Lisa, Mom of the Year. That's awesome. That's really
wonderful.
So I'm in the mortgage industry, and as you know, the pandemic completely flipped our world upside down. We are very, very fortunate. We're actually one of the businesses or industries, I should say, that is actually benefiting from this manipulation of the market and such during this time. So it's been very, very difficult. I'm someone who really is out and about and often and involved in many service organizations. So it's really been difficult to actually be with those people, because I'm serving clients. So talking about your mental attitude and how you respond, you're absolutely right, Lisa. And I find myself going, okay, hold on a minute, and talking to myself, because one of the things that I do know is I can't control what's happening to me, but I can control how I respond.
Yeah,
so
absolutely.
What a beautiful gift I've been given, although there are many people struggling in a pandemic, but what a beautiful gift I have been given in my business. So how do I respond to that? I have to, I believe, serve my clients to the best of my ability. I have to focus 100% on my clients and not place any focus elsewhere. So what happens? Now that affects family, that affects kids. You're absolutely right. And then it affects the service organizations. So what I found is evening walks with the spouse and with the child are some of the best moments, because it gives me an opportunity to decompress, but it gives me my 15 minutes with them before getting back on the computer, before going and doing something. So I get my self-care, plus I get my moment with them. But what happens when it's not the person that's living under the same roof, right? Now all of a sudden, is it a donate button that I just focus on? Well, I serve on a couple different boards, including the San Antonio Hospital Foundation. And they are 100% created and committed to supporting the hospital. Well, who needs the most support right now next to those individuals that are sick is the healthcare workers.
Yes.
So it's any opportunity I have when I am communicating with individuals, because you don't get to connect the same way face to face. We're doing lots of Zoom networking. When I have an opportunity to connect with other individuals, I'm actually reminding them like, hey, yeah, I'm part of San Antonio Hospital Foundation. They definitely need help. They need support. If a baby in the nursery, if they need one extra bed, or if they need one extra machine to help a baby, and maybe it's not in the budget for the hospital, one of the nurses who's leading in that department can turn to the foundation and ask for funds for that. So while it may not necessarily be sitting there doing time at the hospital, being a candy striper or something like that, donations are fantastic, because those funds are available, and you're directly, not indirectly, you're directly impacting those families that need to be in those medical situations. And Lord knows right now there's a whole lot of medical situation need going on.
Yeah.
So
And even as soon as this morning, I'm reading articles about how things are going to start getting even more stricter.
yes.
I don't even know where that's going to be bringing people's mindsets once that hits
Well, what if they
in the next couple of days, right?
Right. We know that the suicide rates, unfortunately, have already started to rise. We already know depression has already started to rise. I mean, they're seeing the numbers. So these are outside of COVID. These are outside of the disease COVID, right? These are true issues happening. Not to mention, we haven't even talked about what's happening to those kids that are missing a whole year of school. So you could say all day long that they're in school. It's not the same.
It's
Right.
not.
It's not. They are
No.
missing a lot. And they might learn a few things, but they are not learning as much as they would have normally had they been in a school setting.
Well,
Right.
not to mention that, but my daughter was telling me about a little boy she goes to school with. Well, I keep saying little, but they're in high school now. They're still little to me. But the only time he was really getting properly nourished
Mm-hmm.
or fed was at breakfast and lunch in school.
Yeah.
And she tells me, Mom, he doesn't have anything to eat. And I'm like, wait a minute. I do know, because I keep up with the bulletins and stuff, that the schools are sending out some sort of cards that these kids can go and buy their lunch. And so I mentioned that to her, and she says, oh, well, he doesn't have that. So, I mean, how many of these kids have not received it, or maybe their parents are taking that? I hate to say it, but their parents are taking it, and these kids aren't being fed properly because they're not in school to get those meals.
So how
You know?
do you, yeah, it's unbelievable.
There's just such an impact on so many people.
Right. Yeah, I know. I often think, how are we going to get out of this, right? I know I can. I know
Sure.
I know, absolutely. My daughter will never have this school year back.
Right.
My son is supposed to graduate from college
Oh my gosh.
in May.
Yeah.
Well, here I am, getting all the stuff ready to pay for tuition. And I'm going, hold on a minute. we could have a problem.
Yeah. Well, we had to see last year all these kids graduating from college and graduating from high school, but I wonder how they're going to be after having to have spent the whole school year online, and now it's time to graduate. You know, like it's probably going to be, the mood is probably going to be worsened if they don't figure this out pretty soon after these kids being homeschooled, you know, the whole school year, and then, oh, it's graduation time, but what's happening graduation time?
Right.
It'll be just a whole entirely different feeling, right?
Yeah.
I don't know. I'm going to say this, and I've been having these conversations with people before, that, you know, there are people who are going out there and they're protesting against having to wear masks, when the simple answer with all of this is to wear a freaking mask. I mean, is it really that big of a deal?
It's such an inconvenience, but what's the big deal? What's putting on a stinking little piece of cloth?
You know what's inconvenient? Being sick. I was sick. That was inconvenient. The worst 2 weeks and 6 days of my life was an inconvenience. Being away from my family was an inconvenience. Wearing a mask, hey, I'll take it. I'll wear a mask for the rest of my life if I have to.
Well, Anna and I just lost a dear friend of ours. Yes.
Mhm.
So then I will jump back in and I will say,
We just went off on a whole different tangent here.
exactly.
Right. We started with gratitude and we went into something else, but it's
Tell us
something
how you
that
really
we all need
feel.
to talk about, because it's the end of the year. Normally everybody's getting ready to celebrate, you know, Christmas and so forth. And yet here we are, where we are actually being put on lockdown this time. And it seems like the enforcement's even tougher than 6 months ago, which is creating this, you know, this anxiety, this depression on people. And not to mention the kids, where we are actually robbing them of their childhood, of experiencing being out with friends. They can't be with friends right now. They can't celebrate the holidays like they used to, you know? And so what can we do? Let's start wearing those damn masks.
Right? It's that simple. It's not even a difficult decision to make. Put a freaking mask on.
You know, whether you believe in it or you don't, whether you believe in it or you don't, we gotta take some steps, and we gotta stop this from continuing going forward. You know, losing a friend, and you know, you've lost your time. You know, those were the worst 6 days of your life. You know, I keep seeing posts of a friend that I knew from my previous job, where he's dealing with COVID, his friends dealing with COVID, a family member is dealing with COVID. You know, this has become real.
Yes. Yes. And you know, we were talking the other night about what happens to these kids. How do we support them? It's funny that we're talking about nonprofits and community action and stuff like that. You know, these kids are also accustomed to be part of giving and giving back and being part of service communities. So what did we do for them? Not only are we supporting them, but now they have to jump back into a supporting role when school starts. How are we going to do that? Well, in my opinion, and it's 100% my opinion, I believe that on those shot records, those immunization records, we're going to have a new line added. You know, flu shot is not on the immunization record, but I do believe that there's going to be something added, and it could very well say COVID, because they're going to want to make sure that these children are properly immunized.
Yeah.
And if you want to go and you're going to help somebody else because you're part of Rotary International and you're trying to dig a well for some clean water, or you're part of another organization going to read to preschoolers, they're going to want to make sure that you're healthy and safe before you walk in the door. So now we have to support our children and know that they've got to be immunized. Well, they've heard all of us say, oh, we don't want to do all this. We don't want to do all that. Uh-oh. Now we actually have to step up and lead by example, right?
Mm-hmm.
Or those are the parents that don't even get their kids immunized to begin with.
How are you going to get people? There's a good chance that they won't let you back in school, right?
Right. But then again, because it's violating somebody's rights, they're allowed to sign a waiver.
Well, I wonder what legislation will look like for the upcoming school year.
Yeah.
I mean, I have a feeling that this new line in that immunization record, it's not just going to affect the students going back to school, but it's going to affect our daily lives, like traveling. What about those of us that have to travel for work? Are we going to be able to get on a plane to get to go do our job if we don't have that? And at the end of the day, it's about our safety. It's about being able to provide for our families. It's about our surroundings.
That's true.
Yeah. But I'll be honest with you. I'm afraid to jump into those waters of the beginnings of an immunization going out there. I am a little hesitant.
Just curious, why?
Well, I believe in order for them to find an effective, is it called, antidote or whatever to the virus, that it takes a lot of studies, and it takes a lot of people being the guinea pigs of those studies. And I'm afraid, I have an autoimmune condition, so I've got to be careful what I put in my body because it's going to affect it differently. So I think, I don't know if I could just jump into that and go ahead, shoot me up, And I understand that it could be my health, my good health, or my bad health. But again, that's where the hygiene comes in and the masks come in. So I might be one of those people that hold back a little bit when it comes to that, even though I'm all for it. I definitely am, but I think I would be a little hesitant about it. Because I think that there's such a desperation now to get to that finish line of putting this behind us that I don't know. I'll just have to wait and see.
I have to play devil's advocate to that. We know that the word COVID has been printed on the Lysol can for years. The flu has been printed on the Lysol can for years.
Mm-hmm.
And every year that we hear it's flu season, it's a new strain.
Right.
Isn't that the same thing that we're hearing about COVID? We spend a lot of time, money, and energy on education, especially for those individuals that are in that field, that specialize in that field.
Mm-hmm.
They came up with a vaccine for polio. They came up with a vaccine for a lot of other things. Why couldn't they? Why couldn't they?
Maybe they can, maybe they can't, but I think I'm just going to wait it out a little while to make sure.
And I don't know the answer to it. I really don't. I believe that, again, I truly believe that it's going to affect the kids that are trying to get back into school next year more than anything. And that's where I'm going to be, somebody will look at me and they'll say, which side are you on? Do you want your kid in class or not?
Right.
And
right.
I believe that's how my hand will be forced.
Right. But what I have to say to that is that there is a law that I'm not a law, but you don't have to immunize your children, period. And they can still attend school. So unless they change that in some way, they're allowed to sign a waiver that says, I voluntarily don't get my children immunized.
But do you want your kids around those people?
Hell no, but I haven't wanted my kids around those people since I saw that there was a waiver out there for them to sign.
Right.
Like, I witnessed someone signing this waiver during school registration. I was just like, holy shit. I never thought about how many kids are not in this school that haven't been immunized.
Well, when sending my son off to college, all of a sudden they say, by the way, you know, he probably needs to get the meningitis shot.
Mm-hmm.
That's what do you mean he needs to get meningitis? He doesn't have meningitis. Do you know how many other children from other countries will be in the same dorm rooms that don't have the same immunization?
Exactly.
And I went, oh, I completely forgot about that. And it's true at the in the lower levels of school, you don't need to necessarily be immunized. So it will be interesting to see how this plays out when it comes to that.
Most definitely.
I
I have four little ones, 2 already adults. They're gonna, you know, I could actually sit down and have shots with one of them, and the other one will be turning 21. But this has impacted them a lot. I mean, they go to college, and this semester they ended up not taking classes because they couldn't focus, and they decided to do something different. It's not something that I condone, but they're adults and they get to make their own decisions. But not being able to be in a classroom setting for them was difficult. And they said, well, hopefully the spring semester will be different and we'll come back. But it's impacted them enough to not want to be. They said it was difficult for them to learn, even though they have their own room, they have their own area, their own space. It's hard. And then I have my little one, my 9-year-old, my little Juliano, who he's been really, really good in schooling. He's actually excelling. He's enjoying it. You know, he's got the support of being at my mom's while my sister's at work and my niece is being there to support him. But not every kid has that. No. You know, my mom makes sure that during his recess, he's got his, meals. And my niece also my little niece, a little sister, makes sure that Juliano's in school so she can't bother him. You know, he's got his own area, but that doesn't happen to other kids. And so I'm very fortunate that I get to see that, but we also have to be cognizant and be able to be supportive and encourage them that they need to continue with schooling and they need to continue with their mindset. And it's important that we support them wherever they're at so that they don't feel that they're being obligated to do the opposite and it's going to cause a depression or that it's going to cause them to spiral out of control. We got to be supportive and meet them where they're at.
Right.
Absolutely. Well, this whole episode just took a complete different turn. Talk about being in the comfort zone, screaming and hollering over each other. It's the holiday season and everyone is tense. We're getting new direction regarding quarantine and stay-at-home orders. And people are getting sick. People are getting sick with COVID and people are getting sick without. It's flu season, it's allergy season, it's cold season. We are all at heightened alert. Oh, and by the way, then there's Christmas in the background that people want to get together and celebrate. They just came off of Thanksgiving and the numbers are definitely climbing. I think that we need to take a brief pause and have these conversations. And I hope that if there's someone listening who is feeling the same way, feel free to reach out. We're happy to support you. We're happy to put you in connection with one of the groups that we're involved in. We're happy to have a conversation with you one-on-one. Mm-hmm. We are not licensed doctors. We are not licensed psychiatrists. We can just talk to you about what we're going through. We can talk to you about what we're seeing in our family. And we just want you to know that we're here to support you.
Amy, just to piggy off of that, we are all here. We're willing to give our time and our support to whoever needs us. That's what we're here for, and that's why we created this channel, so that you know that we are human beings, and we're going to be here to support every single one of us.
Between the three of us, and then those that we know out there, we may have a resource to refer you to if there's something that you need out there. Whatever it could be, just throw it at us. And yes, of course, we don't have to talk online. We all have phone numbers, and if you just want to talk to one of us on the phone, we'll be happy to connect with you privately. Absolutely. And talk to you. So we went from giving to really giving, giving our opinions, giving our feelings about the whole thing.
We're giving all right.
We're just giving today.
That's right.
Yes, we are here to help. On behalf of my dear friends, Miss Ana Yulisa Robles and Lisa Garcia, I say thank you so very much for coming. Thank you for joining us in the comfort zone of Girl Talk. We are always here to help, and we look forward to seeing you next time. Thank you.
See you next week. Bye.
Bye.
Put my glasses on.
Is that brighter?
No. Not even with my glasses on. Periods smell like.
Don't you ever feel sometimes like, what's wrong with me? Apparently no.
I haven't had a period in 15 years.
You're lucky.
Yeah.
For real.
Say that again? Talk about what?
It's okay. Just go
Okay.
How's that?
I see boob.
Again.
Can't help it.
That sounds great. No, just kidding.
Where the girls at?